Okay. Welcome everyone to another episode of You're Where with Who. In today's episode, we get a chance to sit down with Kevin, Khaytin, if I'm saying that
Mhm.
correctly.
Yeah, yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
great. I know historically I butcher last names. He can attest to that. So I wanted to
yeah.
make sure that was good.
Yep,
But thank you for joining us. Welcome to the
absolutely.
show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So as a way that we like to begin the show, talk a little bit about everyone's like background that first joins. Can you share your journey from earning your bachelor's degree at Temple University and then working your way to being a creative? I think I saw noticed that you started your career initially in real estate. So working that way from real estate to becoming a creative director in the work that you're doing now.
Sure. Okay. So you want me to start with the temple first?
Yeah,
Wherever
why
you want to
not?
start. Take
Okay.
take us on a journey, Calvin.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem, no problem. All right. So, quick synopsis. Born and raised outside of Philadelphia. Um, my family comes from the jewelry business. I've always been around watches, diamonds, engagement rings, the whole nine. Um, but something that's always kind of lingered over the ages of like early teens throughout obviously my 20s has been design and music, primarily in the hospitality world. So, uh, like pre, I want to say pre college, I was like teetering between, okay, what do I really want to do? I know I like this business of hospitality and entertainment, but I'm like, how do I fuse the two together? Um, and then obviously you have parents who are encouraging you to like just take the typical route. So entering college, I was like, okay, like I don't want to just study business administration. It doesn't really mean shit. You don't get anything out of it. Not that what I studied really did anything for me necessarily, because it's kind of bland in a sense. So I ended up going to Temple, studied tourism and hospitality. It was fun, I guess. I mean, it was like semi interesting, but I caught myself a lot of times like not that I knew anything more than the professors, but like I'm very niche with what I was always interested in the hospitality world when it comes to the culture of hotels, nightclubs, the music industry, all that stuff, while everyone else is kind of focused on the broad aspect and the kind of generic aspect of hospitality and tourism. So I was always like itching to get out of class. Not even to do anything specifically, just like I couldn't sit still in class. I'm like, I'm not really gaining anything out of this, but whatever. I can rant about that for a while. So, make a long story short, ended up graduating Temple with a BS degree in tourism and hospitality. I don't know why Bachelor of Science, couldn't tell you. And then was encouraged to go into real estate sales 2021, 21, 22. I was older of my class. I want to say 22 years old. That's when I graduated. So make a long story short, started dabbling in real estate while interning. Sorry, I forgot to mention this. While interning for a guy his name's Ryan Dorsey. He owns Mr. Ivy right now, and the Winston.
Very
At the
cool.
time, I think it was like 2017, 2018 when I first started interning for him. It was he owned a Recess Lounge on Second and Chestnut. It was an urban after hours spot. Been there for years. I was kind of just thrown into the fire. He's like, you run the door. He's like, you can sell tables. I helped him and this other guy named Kenny kind of manage the place here and there. And I just worked on day to day stuff from marketing. I revamped their whole social media page because it was very bland to then helping and assisting with his QSR on right off 15th and Chestnut. It was called Dos Tacos at the time. A little shop right next to the
I think I
parking garage.
remember that. I remember
Yeah.
that spot, yeah.
So it was there. It was actually a great taco shop.
Tacos are one of my favorite foods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of
And
the major food groups, in my opinion.
Yeah. So yeah, whatever. Just kind of wore many hats. I've always been a type to wear many hats. Helped him with managing that place, helping run recess, all that stuff. And then 2019 came, and I'm like, I kind of want to pivot. We went our separate ways. I went to Noda for a little bit. But as I started to really enter my like mid 20s, I kind of got screwed with COVID because I just graduated a year prior to COVID. And my professional career just started. I had about like 8 months of wholesaling real estate under my belt. It made me decent money, but I'm a very stubborn person, and when I like something, I want to pay attention to that. I don't care about the money. I want to focus on what I like. It bites you in the ass sometimes, but whatever. Was balancing the two. Um, and then went to Noto for a little bit. COVID hit, and I was kind of screwed. I was like, I don't have enough experience. The entire industry shut down. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do. So for about a year and a half, I was kind of lingering between like, how do I make some money real wholesaling real estate? The first like 6 months sucked because no one trusted anything, didn't want to invest a dollar into real estate. And so whatever, it was kind of just sat dormant. How I transition into what I do now is about 8 months into COVID. I've always had, like I said, I've always had this burning desire to be in the hospitality and entertainment world. I've always loved music. I've always loved fashion, brands, ideas, the whole nine. Like till this day, if you ask me what do I really do, creative director is like the simplest title for it,
Hmm.
but I'm not a person to hold one position. I need to be all over the place. I literally, I probably could self-diagnose myself with ADHD. I've never had it confirmed, but I probably do have it, given the
You
fact
and
that
me
like
both, friend.
I
Yeah,
literally am all over the place, all over the place.
I'm with you.
same.
So so yeah, so like about like 8 months to a year into COVID, um, because I'm having no ability to really get any creativity out, um, I literally sat on PowerPoint for maybe like a month straight, just like whenever the fuck I wasn't losing my mind, or I guess was losing my mind and needed to not lose my mind. I sat on PowerPoint. I was like, okay, for some reason I had this idea to start a marijuana brand. Okay. I was like, I want to create a really like sexy marijuana brand where the joints were packaged like diamonds in a prong or
Okay.
like a
Yeah.
ring, sorry. So that kind of full circles the whole background in jewelry business. Like that just how my mind works. I was like, oh, that's a great idea. I was like, I know how to package this, yada yada. And then I started doing the research. I'm like, well, first off, without research, it's illegal across the entire country. Hard to enter. You need a fuck ton of capital to get involved. I was like, so whatever. But while this is happening, I'm like, oh, whatever. Let me just see how it goes. I was like, what's the name? What's the name? What's the name? And I could show you guys probably a 50-point power slide, a PowerPoint of 50 slides of a variety of names. And the last like maybe 8 of them was Dresden in different formations. Um, so to kind of give like a background as to what the name means, where it came from, was because I was focused on marijuana. I wanted to find a name that represented high quality weed. And again, given the packaging idea and the jewelry background, quote unquote, I'm like, well, it's green. High quality diamonds are typically emeralds. So I started looking into a fuck ton of like emerald green diamonds. Um, Scratched it for a little bit. I was like, okay, what about something new? Googled the word dawn. Dawn, by definition, is just a new beginning, something on the rise, a new era. And randomly, I see the phonetic spelling for dawn is DON with this little caret on top of it. I'm like, okay, I like that. It gives it like a French flair. I'm like, all right, I put it in. Um, and then I went back to the emerald thing maybe a week or two later, and dude, I swear to God, I didn't type anything in besides emerald green diamond. And Google said, did you mean Dresden green diamond? I'm like, what's that? I look it up, and it's literally it's a like a I don't know, I forget how many carats it is, but it's a naturally occurring emerald diamond, fully flawless. I think it's in India right now, and like the in the palm of a hand, it looks like a high quality nugget of weed, high quality nugget of weed. But it's
Wow.
like it's
Yeah.
just ironic how fucking perfectly sized like it was. So I was like, okay, this feels right. I was like, let me put it together. Typed in Dresden into my little PowerPoint slide, and I already had this pink logo background because everything like I do is based off of Miami. Like Miami is pretty much the like geographic location that inspired everything I do. So I typed out the name Dresden, but it was spelled DEN at the end instead of DON. I let it sit for like a week, went back to it, started typing shit up again, and then I accidentally mistyped DEN to DON. And then I scrolled back up and see the phonetic spelling to dawn. I'm like, okay, let me fuse it together. And that was pretty much that was how the brand was born. But there was no direction as to what I was doing yet with it. And then went back to work. It just sat dormant in my pocket for probably 6 months, 8 months at that point after all this. and then ended up meeting, ironically, my business partner. His real name's Josh. His DJ name's Garvin. We were introduced by a family friend of mine, and he's like, "Hey, listen." He calls him Coach. I'd want him to get on the podcast to explain his story because he has a very unique story.
Yeah.
But the guy was a therapist for about 15 years, and just randomly decided he's like, "I want to make a transition. I own a business. Like, I always wanted to DJ. Let me kind of get rid of that part of my life, and let me transition into this." So we met, and I think it was like February 2022 now. So now 2 years ago, and he's like, "Okay, what do you want to do? Here's what I want to do. Your cousin told me that you want to do X, Y, and Z. Like, how do we brainstorm?" And I was like, "Okay, I'm good at branding." I was like, "I love the music. House music is back on the rise. Um, I always am back to being stubborn part. I always want to try to be different in any way I can and showcase a different perspective on the world. Um, so I was like, I want to throw events. You want to DJ? I was like, let's kind of put our heads together. You will now have pretty much guaranteed shows that you can DJ on because getting a gig, especially nowadays, is nearly impossible. Everyone is offering the same crap, but everyone can really DJ. Like he taught me how to DJ about 8 months ago now. It's very fun, but it's also very simple. So if you don't know how to stand out, then you're just a dime a dozen.
Mhm.
It's like a pack of cigarettes on a fucking shelf. Like it's all the same crap. It's just a different brand. So whatever. So July 22, I want to say July 2022. Yeah, no, 24 maybe. One of those. Whatever. We're this
Where are
July.
we now? 2025?
Yeah.
Time doesn't exist anymore for me. July 2025 will be 2 years. Okay, so sorry, February 2023 is when I met him, not 22. So February 2023 is when I met him. We kept brainstorming, and around like May, April, he's like, we're like, here's what we can do. I was like, I have a brand sitting dormant. I want to use it. You want to do X, Y, and Z? Let's just kind of put our heads together and move forward. So we spent about like 2 months, 3 months straight, like scouring for venues. Even though, granted, like I came from the nightlife industry, there was a lack of venues that I knew off the top of my head that would fit house music. Also, coming from the urban side, that crowd doesn't want to do a lot of house music stuff. So I had to kind of restart everything. So started from scratch, started looking about around town, bunch of venues, yada yada. And around like June, I found this place called Terra, which is was right next door to Fabrica. Talked with them, had a whole conversation. They're like, "Yeah, we can do it. Sure, this is the date." It was like July 14th. That's the date. Okay, great. And our first event ever was July 14th, 2023. And we brought this kid in from New York. His name's Jeff Sarkowitz, who's been growing and developing. And that was like the first party ever. It was 103 degrees inside because they decided to cover up they had like little like openings on top of this, like whatever the construction, whatever this like property was. They covered everything they could because the neighbors across the street were constantly complaining about noise.
Yeah.
No.
So for some reason on the weekend that this weekend they decided to do it, and it was also the hottest weekend in July. So outside was actually cooler than it was inside because it literally created a greenhouse effect.
Yeah.
So we had equipment. We had like 110 people inside, sweating profusely. They had these like little pipes with water spraying out, and within 30 minutes that broke somehow. So for 4 hours, we were just it was a straight up sauna. Like I'm surprised no one passed out. Drinking alcohol, no water, no way to cool yourself down besides taking a fucking breather outside at 98 degrees. But it was fun. It was a great time.
It was a good time though.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into this creative aspect of the world. I've always wanted to enter it. Um, but when I tell you I have an immense vision for what I want to do with Dresden, like I would probably sound like a Kanye West to you because I have so many fucking ideas. Um, yeah. Mute. Thank you. Thank you.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I fully resonate. I'm so interested in talking a little bit more about your like perspectives on the entire creative process because I don't think it's a crazy thing at all. I fully resonate with you as somebody that has an ADD diagnosis. I have experienced that feeling of being somebody that has 10,000 different interests and you only have 24 hours in a day
Correct.
And
Right.
as somebody who really values my sleep, it's like, okay, I need to work my 9 to 5 job, and then I have to eat food, and then I have X amount of time to do with it what I want with the rest of
Correct.
my
Right.
passion projects.
Correct.
I think it's super fascinating, but I mean, I'm more interested in talking about like how do you, it sounds like you kind of just jump into things. Like you have a vision and you kind of just start walking towards it. Is that the truth of it?
Um, Partially, and if I'm being like very transparent and vulnerable. So I have a speech impediment sometimes. Um, no, sometimes no. I don't jump into it. Like I want to jump into it, but I get scared shitless of things. I'm like, I don't know how to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm gonna look like an idiot. And like saying this out loud, I kind of need the pep talk because I've been hitting that wall right now the last like 3 months now. Um, no, I don't always jump into it. I would love to have the ability to. I probably should as I get older. But no, I kind of overthink a lot of too. I overthink everything, and I think if anything, it holds me back sometimes just because when you I like I've had this imbalance the last like year now where even though I've been doing something I really enjoy doing and I've always wanted to do, build a brand like 2 years ago, it still honestly hasn't hit me the fact that like I've pretty much created a following of whatever 2,000 followers on Instagram. Like none of it has really settled in my mind. Um, but I don't. Fuck, I'm about to lose my train of thought.
So ADD of you. I'm
Yeah, yeah.
fully with you.
Well,
This is my daily experience.
yeah, yeah. Well, whatever. I guess my point is that like none of it has hit me that um what I've been doing, uh, and I would prefer I can jump into things quicker and faster. I am doing what I want to be doing. I am doing what I've been wanting to be doing the last whatever 5 years now. Uh, the point I was getting to is that I have this imbalance where yes, I'm doing things that I enjoy doing. It's not entirely full time because we don't own a venue and very little um very little venues accessible in the city. So like in order to be profitable, you have to make in order to continue doing what you're doing, you have to be profitable. And when there's limitations on a market like Philly, it's hard to constantly do. So why I'm saying of this imbalance, it's like I would like to jump into more things. It's hard to do because I also have to survive with my 9 to 5 and live and continue to grow something. Um, so yeah, whatever. I guess in short, I would like to jump into things faster. I probably should because overthinking it. Oh, that was another point. Overthinking it gives you reasons why not to do things.
Yeah.
So what I was going to say is that like as a creative, and I think most people like us can agree with this, creatives go off feelings, not thoughts, typically. And the imbalance last year has been more thought driven versus feeling driven. And as soon as I start tapping back into the feelings, I'm like, okay, I don't really give a shit about the negative self talk or possible pessimism that I can find within like okay, if you feel like this idea is good, then don't pick it apart. Only face those issues when you need to. And that's how I started. That's how we started Dresden. I'm not even going to say just I, but that's how we started Dresden. It's like we had no I had no clue what we were doing, let alone Josh had absolutely no clue what we were doing. But we both were like, fuck it, we like what we're doing. We like the idea of it. I want to, he believed in me and he still does. I was like, I want to showcase what's been boggled up in my mind all these years that I couldn't really do working at nightclubs. So yeah, it's like a devil and a angel on your shoulder. It's constantly back and forth.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I answered your question or not, but
No, you totally did. I feel like there's a lot to be said. What's that phrase that's something to the effect of if you wait for the perfect weather, like you're never going to
You
harvest the
never.
crops. Like you're
never.
just there's always going to be something. I fall victim to this a lot of like you have an idea for something you want to do and you're like, "Oh, but I could make it more perfect." But, like, there's this one tiny thing that I could tweak. Give me, like, 2 weeks and I can fix that. Give me another month, and then it's, like, 2 years later, and you're looking back and you're like, "Did I do anything with
Yeah,
that concept I had that would
yeah,
actually be really cool?" But nothing has come to fruition from it.
100%.
I
Yeah,
feel like it's that balance of that paired with the side of have these, like, really lofty entrepreneurial goals, and you also need to find the tangible way to act on the
correct.
concept.
100%. And if you wait too long, And like I've been a firm believer of this, and then you hear all these other creatives talk about it, where it's like I do really believe in the fact that we live in a world where we're all interconnected. We just don't know it, especially when you don't get to that mindset.
Absolutely.
So like Rick Rubin is one of them. He's like
Love him. We talked
everyone's
about
gonna
it
have
before.
yeah, everyone's gonna have the idea. And I think I saw the video like 2 days ago. It was a Joe Rogan podcast, and he's like everyone's gonna have the same idea at some point. It's just a matter of when the person executes it. So it's not really like to his point. It's not really about the person thinking of an idea. It's
Yeah.
more so the idea came to them and they just took action on it because
Mhm.
eventually it'll make its way around to somebody else. So yeah, I agree totally.
It's super. Go ahead, Oos. Were you gonna say something?
No, no,
I
no.
think
I,
it's.
I think it's awesome. But go ahead, Kate.
I was just gonna say, I think it's super interesting, especially when you have all of these different directions to go with a general concept and your interest in nightlife and throwing these events. You touched on it, and I feel like there's like a rabbit hole that we can go down of where you want to take this
Of course,
project.
yeah, yeah,
But a couple of things I want to ask is like, A, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years with the Dresden project? Say
yeah,
you can't control for all the variables, but like
yeah. I get
just
it. Yeah,
for conversation's sake, say everything goes according to plan and smoothly. Like where do you see that? And also take us take us down like what an actual event looks like. Aside from the super hot being being stuck inside and it was 103 degrees.
yeah,
Other
yeah.
than that.
So I'll touch on the process first of throwing an event. It's annoying as hell because you have to rely on agencies to respond to you to be willing to work with you on pricing, which is one of the biggest pain in the asses because again, we're not a primary market, so it's like even artists that we want to purchase to come out, it's 70%, 30% of the time they'll say no because it's not a big enough market. They don't care for their artists to be here. It doesn't expose them, which I get it from the business standpoint, like the PR aspect of it. Um, Dealing with the artist agents is a pain in the ass because again, they have the power over you. Uh, we live in a market where there's only so many nightclubs that kind of target the same artists, which is to that point, which is what I was saying like 20 minutes ago about trying to do something different with this brand, um, or anything really. When it comes to anything I do, I try to see a different perspective. So with Dresden, initially the first 2 years has been focused on finding up and coming artists, kind of just like what your mission is to expose artists and have consumers discover new artists. That's the same point we have. We Josh and I really love this up and coming wave that's happening across the water, Amsterdam, Romania, UK, Russia, doesn't matter. Um, it's a subgenre of house music, more so tech house music called minimal tech. Um, and whatever the fuck they're drinking over there is incredible music, and I want people to know about it here. Obviously, markets like Miami, New York are much more educated on what's up and coming. Philly's not. We have a very small house music scene. The one that we do have, they're more focused on the American tech house stuff. I can appreciate it, but transparently, no, I like more groove in music. I don't want to just hear fucking banging and just bass sometimes.
Yeah.
Like Clooney, for example. I really appreciate him as an artist, but th- a lot of these artists fall into the same little like category and pit of tech house. I'm like, this becomes redundant. There's no life to it. So um, the process is grueling because not only are we going for up and coming artists who might be known elsewhere, they're not known here. The agents have their finger over you. They'll hit you over the head with fees because they know that you probably don't know the fees. At least initially, they know that you don't know the prices. Um, and then you take into account your marketing, your other expenses. Because I like getting creative, I want to spend money on whatever I can to enhance the atmosphere. If we need additional sound system, we need additional sound system. So it's like there's all these moving parts, and it got to the point where uh, I was so ADD with the process that Josh literally sat down. He's like, dude, let me make you a Google sheet. He's like, I'll make you a checklist and just follow it. I'm like, yeah, actually that helps me a lot. I don't know why I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
So now that we have this like very simple system, it's become a lot easier, but it's still tedious because like every time we have new dates for an event, it's back to the drawing board, and like I have to email 50 agents. Hey, here's my dates. Here's what I'm looking for. Here's my budget. They'll see my budget and they don't give a fuck. They'll still hit you over the head. They're like, okay, you said 3,000. How about 8,000? I'm like, dude, are you guys blind? Like, here's the numbers. I'm not
Right.
trying to steal money from you. I need to make money as a business. So it's it's a process for sure. I wish there was a simpler process. Um, I would love to create an app as a whole other fucking idea
Yeah.
as like how do you minimize the friction in this business? But whatever, maybe I'll deal with that when I'm 35, when I have more time on my hands, or maybe less. I don't know. But the process is grueling, but it's also very rewarding and fun, especially when you finally get through all the artist stuff. Then I start sitting there and creating the flyers. I'll create the reels, social media management, the whole nine, marketing it. And then when you get to see 200, 300 people in a room, it hits me for like 37 seconds, and then you're back to running around because you have to deal with anything and everything. But like those 30 seconds to yourself where you're like, holy shit, people came out to an event to dance, have fun, and like it's not about us. It's literally about the idea that people get to experience something that we all appreciate. Whether you don't know who the artist is that's DJing, which is preferred for me, or you do. And like that's why we sprinkled in some big names here and there, just to kind of rehook people and say, okay, you don't know who whatever a slug may be, but you know who an ABO is. So if we build trust with you, I can bring shits and giggles the DJ, but you'll come out and party with us because you say, oh, Dresden brings out dope artists every time. We trust them. I'll attend an event blindly. So that's like in short the, kind of the process for events. The 5-year plan, 10-year plan with it is really to become a lifestyle brand. Um, I know that term is thrown around like more than religion at this point,
Yeah.
but if you pay attention to a lot of these bigger companies, car brands, fashion brands, LVMH, all that type of stuff, everyone's trying to be a lifestyle brand. If you're good at it, you'll execute it properly because you really will incorporate A to Z of someone's day to day to live in whatever world that company's trying to create. Um, Hospitality groups are really good at it, and they can get better at it if they focused on more avenue or more aspects of hospitality. For example, like Tao Group, they're a massive company. A lot of their only focus right now really is restaurants and nightlife, but they have and like I know they have some sort of situation with hotels, but like they could very easily get into the hotel business because they just streamline their existing customers or consumers into hotels. So that's the whole point of a lifestyle brand. People that do it really well execute on those ideas, and they get really creative with whatever other little brands pop up within these companies. For me, I don't know it. I'm always in between. Do I want to have Dresden as like the parent company and it owns all these variety of brands, or is everything just Dresden something? So I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. I don't know. I can't answer that for myself yet. But where I see this going in the next 5 to 10 years is I would like to have an overall day-to-day lifestyle, Dresden incorporated somehow in your life. So the reason why I like the brand so much, and even though it was meant for a marijuana brand, the reason I like it for almost any application at this point is because the the idea behind it, or the vision or the mission for it, is elevating people's lifestyles. And like initially, the carrot on top pointing up was about getting high and being uplifted. But like now, I can really apply it to any avenue I want and say, no, I just want to elevate people's lifestyle. So if it's listening to good music, you're in a better energy, you're uplifted. If you listen to a new SoundCloud mix that we put out, same concept. Um, like even though I don't work out as much anymore, but I'd like to get back into it. I would fully want to create like a Dresden like meet and greet or something like that where like people are constantly going out and working out with each other or running. Um, then it would be like venues and restaurants, a hotel, um, perfume and cologne. Like, dude, like I can just shoot 40 million ideas because I really want to build this my own perspective on what my life is and what it could be. I want people to live it because I want people to appreciate that life could be good and is good if you have the right perspective. And on that like premise, if you if you look at the logo on Instagram, it's the O and has this little green thing behind it. That's kind of representing the diamond, the emerald green diamond. The reason why I accidentally created the logo as such is because I want to bring us and people together and fuse it into one world, which is why you kind of see it coming across each other. So I really just want to build a company that brings everyone and anyone together. I don't You don't need to have the same perspective on life. You don't need to have the same interests, but I know that if you have multitude of interests, everyone has a little pocket for each other. Whether it's a music in a restaurant, whether it's a music in a restaurant, a label and a restaurant, or alcohol and a fucking spa. Like I know that kind of contradict each other, but that's the point. Like cocktail lounges, spas, health and wellness, whatever, the whole nine, A to Z.
I think that could work. Comparing it to a lifestyle brand. And I think well, as you were explaining, I was just thinking of ways to get there. Um, I think it starts off what you're doing right now, and it is the events and curating events. Maybe then it does go back to becoming a marijuana brand that is distributed and sold at these events. And
Sure,
then
yeah,
you will become known for like, oh, you guys do dope events, but they also have this marijuana brand that's like high-end product. And then maybe it turns into a running club as well. Like I know that Diplo,
I
for
was thinking of
example,
that too. Yeah.
yeah, that's
has a
true.
running club, and then the run, I think after the run, he also plays a set. So that could be also something that's pulled in as well, where, hey, we're gonna run for like 3 miles, but then after the 3 miles, we're gonna
Exactly, yeah,
party it up a little bit. And that
100%, yeah,
becomes part of the lifestyle brand that people are incorporating. It's like, hey, I can get my weed, I could run and be fit, but then
yeah,
also listen to great music.
100%, yeah,
And then grow up from there.
yeah,
So I like their
yeah.
approach. And
That's
yeah,
for sure. That's for sure the idea. Like a lot, I even get ideas from Kith, the guy who runs it, Ronnie Faig.
Yeah.
mhm.
He's cool.
Yeah, he like something that turned me on a lot a couple years ago was he has these like Kith outings with like really close friends and family of his, and like right before he has like some like like exclusive release with like a brand that he collaborates, he'll kind of tease what's coming out, and then he'll literally fly himself, some like close employees of his, friends and family, to like, for example, we ran into them in Arizona. I want to say 2 years ago, or maybe a year ago, and he was having some release, and he literally had like a 3 day event just amongst themselves, going to Nobu, taking whatever quads into the desert,
Mhm.
all while wearing this clothes, so they get photo shoots. So it's a business expense at the same time. You're getting to enjoy yourself, and like it's all content and it's all part of your lifestyle aspect. And I was like, oh, I fully like that idea because like I can go create clothes, I can go do the same thing with it, and like who knows, like taking people that really believe in what we're doing and doing a pop up event, I don't know, in London randomly, and you're like, yo, pay this price, come meet us here. We have your hotel covered, all this stuff. You have clothes involved. It's all Dresden A to Z. So yeah, I totally agree.
Go. I like that.
Mhm.
That's
That'll be
super
awesome.
dope.
Can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I know. We'll be looking out for the invite.
Yeah.
Sooner than later.
I know that you mentioned that you DJ'd for a little bit, right? And got into it. You said it's fairly easy to like learn and pick up and start playing. And I know that you also mentioned that you describe house music as a creative canvas before. How does that channel your ideas and energy through your DJ sets? How do you incorporate that?
So I use music a lot as kind of the background theme song to ideas I have. Um, so if I know that I'm spinning a certain location, I base the atmosphere off of what I want to hear myself. Um, Music typically, yeah, sets the tone for me for myself. So for example, like in Miami, I'm not DJing unfortunately, but like I know for a fact, like I know what I'd rip the first like 100 tracks if I had a couple hours to myself, just because of the atmosphere that we're going to be at. So we have an event in Miami in 2 weeks, and it's our first Miami event. And yeah, first Miami event, and it's on a beach. It's a day party, and like I'd love to play, but obviously there's plenty of people already on the lineup. But I know for a fact like everything is atmosphere based, while simultaneously having like a mental theme song that's going on.
Mhm.
And I don't really, there's no real direction I take. It typically, I want to say, if I'm thinking to myself, I'll take the atmosphere I'm in first
Mhm.
to then allow the music to kind of drive the creation, if that makes sense.
No, it does. I think
Yeah,
every DJ we've spoken to or artist, their approach is a little bit different too. But I think taking the location aspect of it into account while you're playing out your set like in beginning part, but then like kind of freestyle and depending on the engagement of the crowd as well, um, is key to success because then from there it kind of gives you the freedom and flexibility to take any approach that you want to take.
agreed. But I do have a disagreement to one thing.
Yeah.
One thing that's started to piss me off a lot the last um like year now. Yeah, I noticed. Yeah, she got the freezing.
Yeah, she froze for a little bit. Those listening, Kate is like out of the podcast for the moment, but hopefully she'll be able to join in momentarily. But we're gonna keep the conversations going.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say is, and when I say pissed off, I know it's aggressive, um, but I don't like the fact that we always have to. Oh, she's back.
I'm
Hey,
back,
welcome back.
guys. My internet decided to crap out on me for a minute, but I will not be stopped. I'm back. Catch me up.
So he was asking essentially about, well, not say, he wasn't asking. He was saying how you have to play to the crowd sometimes.
Mhm.
And I agreed with what he was saying, and then I kind of had I was gonna combat uh, one aspect of that idea, which is playing to the crowd. So what I was gonna say is that like I I've always wanted to DJ, but never had the patience to sit down and learn. But once it's explained to you, like I don't want to sit there and watch a YouTube video. But when it was explained to me, I'm like, oh, this isn't really that difficult.
Yeah.
Obviously, you get as you get more hours and you understand how it works. So you also have to have a good ear for the music. If you don't, you're not really gonna do well. Whether you're playing to 50 people or 500 people, like if you don't know how to carry a crowd, to your point, yes, it's gonna work against you. But on the flip, the reason I don't like playing for the crowd is because I want to DJ because I want to DJ, not because I want to play for a crowd. You know what I'm saying? So I want to play the music I want to hear. I want to hear. And if people like it, great. If they don't, I don't really care. I know that's difficult because like if I'm playing for Dresden, I kind of have to cater towards them. But on the flip, I don't have to because we're bringing people out that, again, back to the whole building trust with us. It's like
Hmm.
come out, see what we're doing. So if we're educating you on the sound that we're trying to educate you guys on, then I want to play what I want to play. And I want you guys to look at us and say, holy shit, I've never heard of this music or I never heard of that. What is that? So I always teeter between playing for the crowd and not playing for the crowd. If you're opening for a mega crowd in like a New York City, granted, sure, yes, you have to play towards the crowd because you don't want to be booed off. But if you're on the flip and you get the creative freedom to really play what you want because they're there just to hang out or see your event, then I want to play what I want to play, not to cater towards anyone else. Because again, I want to educate them to showcase something that they don't know about yet.
Absolutely.
That's the only disagreement I have.
It's like you want to break people out of the microcosm of what they might be aware of. I know you
One hundred
mentioned
percent. Yeah,
all the different influences that you see, across the pond that people here, I mean, especially in Philly, it's a pretty small community.
it is.
And I
Yeah.
mean, maybe places like you mentioned, New York, Miami, bigger cities, they see more of it sooner and they get more
Mhm.
acclimated to it and they're kind of on the train before we are. But I think getting people out of, you know what you know kind of thing and you don't
Of
know
course. Yeah.
anything else, expose them to
100%.
something
Yeah.
new and fresh. And also
Right.
it reminds me of, I forget who it was. I think it was like a famous director who's spoken about like, I don't make my movies thinking
Yeah.
about what reception will be. I make the movie because I had a concept for the movie and I just wanted to do it.
100%.
So I hope that you
Yeah,
like it, but I'm not going to
yeah,
lose sleep if you don't. And the right people
100%. Yeah,
will show up for that.
and I kind of think that's the point. I think that's the why artists exist and creatives exist, because like if you're just trying to always sell to an audience that exists, then you're not really doing anything different. It's like a Picasso, for example. He didn't give a flying fuck what he was painting, or not what he was painting, but who he was painting for. It just he found a crowd of people that really liked his art because he liked what he was making,
Yeah.
and that's how it always should be. Like art is meant to really expand our minds. This isn't like an Excel file where you have to input the numbers and make sure that everything adds up correctly. So yeah, I totally agree.
I think it's interesting in this day and age too. I'm curious what your perspective is, where I personally believe I think there's much more space for creativity now with all the social
Yeah,
media platforms. I think it's great that more and more people are getting out there and just posting. We've had a lot of conversations on the show about um, many artists and creative acts saying like just getting out there and posting and getting content out is like one of the biggest things. But I also think it's kind of interesting where you not have to question how genuine some of it is, but at what point is there an intersection of people going, "Ooh, I can monetize this. Let me just try to throw something out there to align with what the current trend is. Let me just get on this trending sound. Let me do something to align with what's currently in." And then I think you reach a point. I think it's kind of easy to see if you're a good read of people and of character. You can see when somebody's doing something just to do it,
of
to
course.
try to
Yeah,
fit in. But
yeah, of course. Yeah, I agree. I do think that not I think you see it. Social media has immense positives. Um, it's created a lot of opportunities for the most random people that never expected themselves to be exposed. But yeah, I mean, I think in any world or any industry, you always have people who are inauthentic and just trying to grab something. Um, but yeah, I mean, listen, I think everyone's creative. I don't think there's a single human being on this planet who's not creative. They just don't know how to tap into it. And everyone should. And like content, for example, like I don't like recording myself. I've tried here and there, like I'll make jokes and stupid shit. But it's like, do I want to post jokes? Maybe sometimes, but the point is typically to build a personal brand, which again I should be doing. And like I'm trying to force Josh into it, Garvin. He needs it more than I do. But it's like it can never hurt to really give yourself exposure. It comes down to how are you doing it? Is it authentic? Because like I don't like to be inauthentic. Uh, yeah. And what I was gonna say is there's about everyone's creative. They're just finding tapping into that energy. There's a Jay-Z interview from like years ago, 2017, 2016, and he was talking about it. He's like, I think everyone has talent. It just people are either too scared to find their talent or don't know how to. But everyone's good at something. So it's like if you can't listen to yourself because you don't know what you're listening to, then maybe listen to your surroundings. Because if you really pay attention to what is being said, somebody somewhere will kind of just drop it into a cup of water for you and say, just pay attention to that. It just you have to pay attention, and it is hard to get in tune with it. But I think everyone's creative, and I really think that social media is going to further expand people's self awareness because, like, I never thought I'd really care about content or content creation. I've only done a few, like real organic, like original content. But one of the promo videos I did for last summer's Do Not Disturb event, I randomly hit up my videographer and I'm like, dude, like I really need to make a promo video for this hotel concept for whatever the rooftop concept. He's like, all right, just let me know what you have. And like suddenly, like 30 minutes later, I thought of this idea where you have this hotel food attendant, roll over food, quote unquote, under those one of those like silver cylinders. And underneath it is sunglasses, an Advil, a shot of vodka, and a little postcard that says "See you Sunday." And it just all came to mind naturally. And like as we're shooting it, I'm like, the fact that people do this for like a living is very entertaining.
Yeah.
So like so and like to the point about like discovering your own talents, like I never knew I would have interest in it. And then suddenly you scratch the surface and you're like, oh shit, I'm actually not bad at this either. And it just but it's again, it's the overthinking aspect. Like, what are the ideas? How are you going to do it? Yada yada. You just overwhelm yourself with what you're going to do, how you're going to do it. Like, whatever. I'll do the content later. I have enough on my plate. But everyone should do it 100% because everyone's creative and you need to find their angle, your angle, whatever it may be.
If you don't test it out and you don't give it a shot, like you're never going to know one way or the other, right? If you didn't just kind of deep dive into testing that out,
Yeah,
would you have ever moved any further with it? Who knows?
right. Of course. I, like this thought just came to mind. If everyone wasn't creative, then everyone wouldn't like music. And
Right.
I don't know anyone in the world who doesn't like music. I don't care the genre, but there's a reason why we as humans like music. There's something in it or in us that really enjoys the movement of it, what it does to our souls. So if you know that you like music, there has to be something out in this world that you can do creatively, and it doesn't always have to be art necessarily. You can think creatively, like you could be like a really strategic business person, but the way you get to those levels of success is because you're a creative thinker. Not everything is art, but I think everyone has the ability to do it. It's just a matter of finding it and how they find it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like just about every great and revolutionary person in business in a whole host of different industries. I mean, you look at somebody like Jeff Bezos or, Steve Jobs are the ones that come to mind. It's like, did they
of
do
course, yeah.
cookie cutter, like, okay, I'm going to follow this step and then I'm going to follow this step?
No, no,
Apple was operating out of Steve Jobs' garage. I think Amazon was something similar. I mean, Apple went downhill for a while. I think that they let him go for some time,
yeah,
and
yep,
then they were driving it into the ground, and he had to come back and resolve it. So
yeah. They begged him to come back.
Yeah.
you see these things, and it's like I always like the concept of like the butterfly effect when they talk about
100%,
if you made one ever so slight change in whatever pathway you were taking, you could be in a completely different scenario than you are,
100%.
which I think
Have you seen the movie before with Ashton
I have
Kutcher?
actually
Yep.
never seen the movie.
Yeah,
What?
it's good.
I know,
It
Yeah,
is
it's
I
very
very
good.
know,
good.
I should. I
Yeah,
love Ashton Kutcher. I have to check it out.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I just like that concept psychology wise. I love psychology and the study of it. I just think it's so halfway terrifying when
Of
you
course,
when
yeah.
you take it. I guess it's kind of like glass half full, glass half empty perspective. It's like, do you want to look at that as like, oh my gosh, how much could I have missed out on? How much could be different if I made a couple different choices? Maybe I'd be like way up here and right now I'm feeling a little bit lower. You could view it that way, or you could view it as, damn, I made some really cool, interesting choices that led me to growing this lifestyle
Yeah,
brand, led
yeah,
me down this crazy path that, like, I don't know about you guys, but I look back on where I was 3, 4, 5 years ago, even when we were in college, and I'm like, if I met myself today at that point, I'd be like, who is that person?
Yeah.
100%.
Who
Yeah,
are you? In a good
yeah.
way.
Of course, yeah, yeah.
I think it's all the things that you're aligned with that maybe you don't expect. You can't anticipate everything.
No,
You
not at
can't
all.
anticipate the way that everything's going to go. And like you said, back to your point about college, it's like they kind of teach you, okay, well, this is how you handle things. This is how you handle your 9 to 5. This is how you handle day-to-day life. But like, do they have the blueprint for everything?
Absolutely not.
No.
There was like this one instance in college where I'm like, holy shit, these people don't know everything that they're talking about, and they're just being paid to talk about this like generic stuff. Was we had like I had like a hotel management course or something of that nature, and the professor was like, everyone has to pick something or find someone within this hotel industry, and like talk about it. I forget like the nuances, but long story short, um, as soon as he said it, I'm like, I know exactly who I'm talking about right now. There's this guy named Ian Schrager who uh, created Studio 54 in the late 70s. It was him and his partner, Steve Rubel. After going to prison, they came out, got back into clubs for a little bit, opened Palladium, and then somehow segued into hotels. Uh, you guys can look it up. And I was shocked when I said Ian Schrager out loud and like discussed him on the board to the professor, and the guy's like, I have no idea who this is. Meanwhile, this Ian Schrager guy revolutionized the entire hotel industry, is the reason why boutique hotels are considered boutique hotels, and it's the reason why we all live a lifestyle, one in ways that we never even realized about, but especially within the hotel industry, the way things are designed from every detail, atmosphere, social lobby socializing, the fact that bars exist in lobbies, like that was all created because of this guy in like the late 80s, early 90s, and totally had all these massive companies kind of like sit on their hands and say, "Oh shit, like we need to do something different," because he came in not having the background of the hotel business, having no experience in design, and just had some sort of keen instinct and obviously a desire to do something. And he's like, screw all this noise. Every Ritz Carlton and all these Hiltons, they all look the same. Let me come in and design it completely different. And like, if you guys look at his portfolio, if you like design, you'd be shocked from what he created because he's just really good at finding talent, and that talent always happened to be the interior designers. But yeah, just a quick little like it was always like I always question like how are professors teaching, especially hotel business management, and you don't know somebody who's revolutionized the entire industry that you're talking about.
Right.
Mhm.
So sorry, whatever. I can rant about this stuff
No,
for
I
a
love
really
it.
long
I
time.
mean,
Yeah.
that makes me deep dive into the concept of then like what really qualifies somebody to be able to speak about anything, right? I mean,
Nothing. No one.
I've
No
always
one.
looked at it as like I think that there's people that are maybe more traditionally educated on certain topics, right? Like I am passionate about psychology. I'm passionate about the way that everybody experiences it, how it impacts everyone's lives differently. I don't have a formal psychology degree. But do I think that that means that I'm anything less than somebody who has formally studied it? No. I think it just
No, of
means
course not.
that you're looking at it from a different perspective. But in the same vein, life is the greatest teacher, and life
100%.
informs you at the end of the day.
100%. Yeah. And I think when you have that fresh perspective, that actually gives you the level up.
Yeah,
It gives you the what's the term I'm looking for?
kind of like the
Whatever.
edge.
Yeah, the edge. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It does give you the edge because like if you're in something for too long, it kind of becomes stale and you don't really know what to look for new. But if you have somebody who doesn't know what they're looking at, but has like this even a very menial idea, they tend to revolutionize the industry. In most cases, look at Steve Jobs. The guy had no real background in computer science. You had IBM, all this stuff, and he's like, I want to create high quality computers. That's it. And now we have iPhones that everyone's glued to 24/7.
Right. Yeah.
24/7.
It's just having fresh perspective, fresh
Yeah.
Always.
eyes.
He was
Always.
a design guy, Steve Jobs.
Was he?
Yeah, he was
I
design.
didn't know that at all.
He took a typography class. Well, he didn't take it. He kind of like walked into a class that he didn't sign up for and just fell in love with like the design of like different texts. And he brought that to Apple in terms of like designing the products. But he's more of a creative than like a rather than a, I guess, product focus.
Computer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right, right.
Typical.
software engineer.
Wow, I didn't know that at all.
Yeah.
I didn't either.
Damn, okay.
Um, but question for you. So, I'm gonna give you a scenario. If I'm a new artist. How would I go about like developing my brand? Like, what phases or recommendations would you suggest to someone that's starting for the first time, looking to create their own brand? Whereas for them to for their artistry, whereas in music or creating events, what approach would you give them advice?
So, funny enough, I just had a conversation with a kid in college about the same thing, and he's like, "How do you get ahead in this industry?" Um, from where I currently stand and my experience now, seeing it, the best way is through content and social media. And I know that's kind of cliche to say in today's day and age, but it really is because if you can find an angle on how to stand out, it'll propel you a lot further than you'd expect if you were just constantly reaching out to people. And like for example, DJs they have press kits, and all the press kits. I don't care how sexy a press kit looks. Like it, I'll get back to that point in a second. But it's funny being on the other side of it now because I was always the kid reaching out to club owners or hospitality guys and yada yada yada. And always coming from this like I want to help you. But it's like now that I'm on the flip a little bit and DJs reach out to me, I don't mean to be an asshole. And like I'm not being an asshole. It's just I don't respond to a lot of emails because everyone's the same. I want to know how you stand out. And if you stand out by literally coming to find me at an event like I would do to people I looked up to,
Hmm.
that's how you stand out. So to answer your question about standing out as an artist, is I would take the content route because essentially for free you get to create your own persona for people to watch. The nitty gritty of it, you unfortunately have to figure out most times, or use technology like AI to kind of pick your brain. Um, because you need to find an angle that makes you look different. Whether you do the most random funny shit, incorporating it into how you're an artist, that could be one thing. A lot of things I start seeing other people talk about for DJs is talking about producers is talking about the music they're making, not about, hey, look at this song I made, because everyone is doing the same thing. But if you take the perspective of, literally, this girl said it, I didn't make this up at all. uh, she said, she's like, if you talk to the camera and or the audience and you're like, I made this song for those nights at 4 a.m. in a warehouse, and if the song really fits that atmosphere mentally, like, you're probably bound to get an additional 15, 20, 50 people that agree with that perspective. So just, again, finding the smallest way to kind of pivot a perspective and showcase why you any more talented than anyone else that's in the same genre of music as you are. Whether you're a creative individual that can, like, sit there and um, promote some other aspect of their personality. Like, if you're in music, but you also have a really good eye and you're good at photography, for example, I would get as creative as I could with the content you're pushing out when it comes to, like, Instagram content, because it's still very heavy when it comes to pictures and stuff. So if you can find other angles to really promote other talents of yours, especially as a creative, you're not just a musician or an artist or a
Hmm.
producer. You tend to have other aspects of your talent, or sorry, sides of your creative and talent. So if you can find how to fuse two or three of them and showcase it to an audience, that'll build you up quicker. If you follow the same regimen as everyone else, then you're no different.
Building different facets to
Yeah.
who you are as a creative, not just being one-dimensional, being multidimensional in every way that you can be. That's true to
Right?
you.
Yeah, 100%. Like, you're talking about yourself, right?
I'm talking just in general, that I think that
Uh,
that's the way.
what about how do you pronounce your name? Is it Osman?
Usman.
Usman, Usman. You're talking about yourself when you ask that question?
Um, Not necessarily, but
Okay.
I feel like there are a lot of artists who are looking to begin and they post content and online they don't see the traction that they expect. So they kind of give up
Sure.
on posting content. So
Mhm.
they sometimes feel that maybe, hey, if I do have a branded approach that I'm taking to whether I'm making music or creating an event, it will help me stay focused on what I'm looking to do rather than be scatterbrained. So if there was like tips that they were given, it's like, hey, you need to focus on this first. It can help them guide them in that path to create the vision that they're looking to create.
Sure, yeah.
So that's where
Yeah.
the question was like leaning towards.
So most times, and after the conversation, feel free to reach out anytime you want, because I'm always willing to, like, give my own point of view on things.
Yeah.
I love helping people. So um if people can find, like, let's say you're a rapper, and the music's good, the production of the music's good, the lyrics are good, all that stuff. You need to find maybe a way to go produce music videos, for example, as cheap as possible, but creatively,
Hmm.
that'll showcase that other talent that you have hidden. For example, like, yeah, if you could take advantage of that route, then that's a way to stand out. And, like, there's no one tip fits all, because it's hard. Like, we don't know every person's talents or issues and whatever, so you can't really answer it wholeheartedly. But the general tip is, like, figure out a way to stand out. And I know that's very bland
Yeah.
and broad, but they need to figure out a way to stand out in any way possible and keep hitting it over the head. Because, like, I should take my own advice. I don't post every single day on any content platform, but it's true. Like, if you listen to any Gary V, they talk about the same crap for 10 years. There's a reason why they talk about it, And there's also a reason why what he says ends up having results in some way. So it's just about continuing to do it, because also the more ideas you get out there, the more book that you'll just naturally conceptualize.
Yeah.
Some ideas might be total shit. Some ideas might be great. Some videos you might think are like Hollywood-esque content, but they fail and they get 200 views, and then you might just talk to yourself in a car and say, "Hey, here's my troubles I've been going through the last year, 2 years, whatever it's been as an artist," and suddenly that gets 30,000 views.
Yeah.
Like I was mentioning it to my mom the other day about content and all that stuff, and I was like, I don't know how this algorithm works or these algorithm works exactly. It's obviously a secret to an extent, but you start to learn as you pay attention to what's happening. But sometimes you have no answer to it. So why I was saying this to her is because I came across a video on TikTok. It's some videographer reviewing someone else's content that this whoever this person is created, and it was a video of this restaurant promo video. It was beautifully done. It was very like cinematic, but also extremely creative. All these like action shots. I don't know the cinema terms at all, but it was very well produced. This guy reviewing this video got like, I think, 300, 400,000 views and like 30,000 likes. And I found the original video, and the kid who posted it himself had like, I think, 3,000 views. I'm like, dude,
Crazy.
it's insane that the original video had absolutely no interest, but somehow the guy reviewing it, whatever, 10x
Yeah.
the guy's views.
Nuts.
It's funny you said that. So, Gary Vee said something very, very similar. But
When followers, 300 followers.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, everyone's watching the
yeah,
same video, I swear.
I
yeah,
haven't
yeah.
wait,
Yeah,
I
I know,
haven't
I
seen
know.
this one, have I?
No, I'll send it to you after the episode. But he also alluded to the fact that I kind of lose my train of thought. Going, damn, you kind of made it alluded to it a little bit earlier. Not about the followers, but
Not knowing which content's going to work versus will.
yeah, no,
Everybody
you
has
got blank.
ADD in this group.
Damn, so blank.
Don't think about it too much. If we go on a different discussion, it'll come to you.
I know, it will. Okay, I won't think about it.
Okay, to give you a synopsis as to what Gary Vee was talking about, is that essentially he thinks that in the coming years, follower count won't matter anymore because of how algorithm works. So, and to kind of prove his point, he's like, look, I have 15 million followers on TikTok, and my most recent videos are getting like 3,000, 2,000 views. And he went and created like a an account called Gary V Replies. It had at the time 300 followers. This is literally 2 weeks ago, and he made like three videos. I think the second video ended up getting like 30,000 views or likes, one of those. So he's like, follower count doesn't matter. He's like, it doesn't push to your followers anymore because literally TikTok specifically, it's for you. All this following crap, no one like, think about how rarely you actually go to your following. Like what I did realize as to why I do follow people, even though technically it's nonsense now, is because the way I think about it is like, oh, I'm following these people on TikTok because I might want to refer to them outside at some point
Mhm.
of whatever they're talking about, the content that they shoot, ideas I might have from them. But other than that, like my For You page can go from branding concepts to literally people throwing fucking baseball bats at each other's faces. Like there's no
Yeah.
rhyme or reason. It's just random.
Um, so I remember the point he also made in that video was around. Did I blank it again? Holy shit! No fucking the algorithm, sorry. The
Yeah,
algorithm that it is you are the algorithm. It's not something
correct, right.
that is being designed by like Facebook or TikTok. So depending on what you like, what you save, what you share with other people, how long you watch a particular video, that's where you're going to get fed more of. So you as an artist or any individual, how you're interacting with that social media platform is what you're gonna get more of. So if you're diving down negative content, and viewing negative content, you're gonna get
Of
fed
course, yeah,
more and more negative content, and you're then blaming the like social
uh-huh.
media company who's giving you the platform
Right.
that, hey, I'm getting fed negative articles, negative stories all the time. Where on the flip side, you could just be liking butterflies and rainbows, and you'll get more butterflies and rainbows. and pure happiness. Like my feed is full of like the Eagles, um, because I just love the Eagles. So I
Yeah.
get feed stories about the Eagles every single day, and
Yeah.
I'm just eating it up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. If
how
you,
you
yeah.
kind of beat the algorithm in a sense.
100%. Yeah. He even I even think he said in the same video. He's like go test my theory. Go test what I'm saying. He's like you can go like four random photos
Yeah.
that not even following. He's like and literally refresh your page. It'll start showing you that immediately.
Yeah.
But as you're saying that though, what I'm thinking about as like a content creator then is like okay, so the algorithm knows what to feed the user
Mhm.
because you're interacting with it for the 5 minutes or 15 minutes or an hour. But on the flip, the question still is okay, but how do you produce content that reaches the audience that's looking for you? And that's like the biggest issue right now because you don't really know how to do it. Some people have tips where it's like just keep producing similar content and the algorithm will understand what you're trying to or what your niche is to an extent. But it's like I don't really know if that's true. So it's funny that we have an answer on how the user side works,
Yeah.
but we don't have has as how the seller side kind of works.
Yeah. He uh he mentioned that if that's the case, that you're producing content, same type of content, and it's not getting a reaction, um, he's like, your content didn't just sucks. So you need to produce something like completely really different. So like,
But does it though?
it's so to the point of like the high quality video, it wasn't engaging in some way. Right? People for some reason now are more inclined to have someone talk to them and tell them a story or a review of something and interact with that. They could go in terms of like lifestyle content. It's like, hey, let me tell you about my experience at this new place called Putt Shack. And then they go through a video of everything they did at Putt Shack. And the video itself is just them walking around Putt Shack, but then their voice is overlaid against that video. And then you kind of go through the experience in like POV of this person going through Putt Shack, and you're like, oh wow, that's kind of cool. I'll see the video. Maybe I want to go to Putt Shack. And then Putt Shack put out a video of their brand, and there's no voiceover or no storytelling of like your experience of what it could be at Putt Shack.
Right,
So
and a flop.
yeah, and it'll flop. So
Right, right, for sure. Yeah, yeah. I totally get it. And like I said, there's no like real answer to it yet because like yes, I agree with what you're saying, obviously. But then I've seen people who are like literally no ones who are producing music apparently, and I literally came across this kid. Um, Light Speed or some crap. He's like from California initially, moved to I think Netherlands, but he literally posted the same video, and I shit you not, he posted the same exact video, and I think he just recorded the video of himself in the car, but it's like his shoulder. You'll see him for like 20 seconds, not even the 2 seconds, and he's like, and he puts the caption like when Chris Stussy makes this song, but not him. And it's the same video over and over and over. And I scrolled through the kid's page. He probably had 100 posts of the same stuff, but I think he was putting his own track, his own sound that he made, like whatever track he produced, in the video, kind of confusing people. Like, did Chris Stussy make this or did somebody else?
Yeah.
It got to the point where it fully intrigued me. I'm like, dude, is this you or is this Chris Stussy? He wouldn't respond, and like it would have 200 views consistently. Then you'll hit like 1,000, 3,000, and then suddenly the dude started getting responses from like, uh, uh, what's his name? The guy who owns the guy owns Coco UK. Fuck, I'm blanking on the DJ's name. Whatever. He literally started getting recognized by like these well-known DJs, and he's posting the same video every fucking day. It's just a different caption, quote unquote, here and there. So it's like there's no again no understanding as to does your content suck or is it just not catching the algorithm's attention? Because why is some kid like he can't be the only the example that you're posting the same crap for 2 months straight and suddenly now it explodes.
yeah.
So I don't know, but push content, that's for sure. And I should take my own advice. Seriously.
I love that. So going through your Twitter feed,
Mhm.
there's a mention of surrounding.
You went to my Twitter feed?
Yeah, you
That's how
gotta.
you did a deep dive.
Yeah,
It was
dude.
fun.
Hold on, give me a second. I'm gonna get water for a second. But I haven't used that shit in literally like 3 years,
Hey,
and I think I've tweeted like 3 times in the last 3 years.
okay. All right, so maybe hopefully this is something that
I mean, yeah, by all means, you can
Still
ask any
still
question you want.
relevant.
I know, yeah.
Yeah,
So for this, uh,
that's
you,
hilarious though.
so you shared your thoughts about the importance of surrounding yourself with supportive individuals. Um, how has that philosophy impacted your personal or professional life so far?
The last 2 years, very well. Overall, it's a battle because it's hard to come across people who genuinely want to help. Um, if I don't want to say the wrong things because I don't know who's going to be saying this, but um, this market, but obviously even the massive markets like New York and Miami, like egos are always going to be an issue, and obviously the more successful you become, the larger the pricks are. So it's unavoidable, and I took me a really long time to get to this point. I finally over the last 3 4 years built enough skin where it's like, I mean, not enough skin, but enough skin to more or less like not really take anyone's crap personally anymore, and it's part of it. And like, for example, Josh, again, because he's brand new, he would take a lot of things personally the last like 2 years now, and I would just tell him repeatedly, like, dude, like it's not like that. It's not. It's usually not personal. It just that's how people are.
Yeah.
Um, build thick skin. But surrounding yourself with people that support you is extremely, extremely. It's crucial for your growth because if you're by yourself all the time, you get in your head too much and you start losing yourself, which I've done multiple times.
Yeah.
And if you're around people who are negative and don't really want to strive for things in life, then you're going to stay in the same playing field. It's like that quote: if you surround yourself by 6 idiots, you typically are the seventh, and vice versa. So surrounding yourself by people that really support you is extremely important because they'll keep you level headed. Something I always try to do is find people who are older than I am that are way more ahead of me. And I don't really care what industry you're in. Obviously, if you're in the same industry as me, it helps me in a variety of ways. But I don't really care the industry or niche you're in. It's as long as you have good energy and you have something valuable to bring to the table, which most people do.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's very important and always will be. And I don't think there's anyone that could disagree with it. And if you do, then you're just
Then you're wrong.
yeah. Because how do you want negative people around you? It will never bring you up.
That's fair.
Very true. Yeah.
That's fair. You are the company that you keep. And I think at the end of
Always.
the day, the concept of mentorship is something that's maybe been kind of lost amongst
Yeah, I think
younger
so.
generations. And I think that there's
Yeah.
so much value in it that I hope, people could hear a conversation like this and recognize that there is so much importance in just speaking to somebody. Like you said, I like that you commented on doesn't even have to be in the same industry. I can just learn from somebody that maybe had a different upbringing, has a slightly different experience than I did, but I can get
Always.
information, learn something new. There is always something to learn
Always.
from
Yeah,
other people.
for sure. Yeah, and being in the creative world, that's really important also because you need to surround yourself with people who are of some sort of like mindedness as you. Because I like being around people who, first off, are 10 times more creative than I am because it lets me become creative. Like I don't want to be the smartest or the most creative in a room. Typically, it won't really help me grow. As an artist, whatever you are, any creative world, you want to surround yourself with people that are as creative, if not more than you. And typically, this is just me speaking, this is personally speaking, typically in different worlds of art.
Mhm.
Because like I might be a creative director that likes branding, for example, just to simplify something, but I really want to know the best of the best videographers and photographers because I know how I can apply them to the world I'm trying to build.
Yeah.
So a variety of talents, skills, industries, the whole line.
Mm, I love that.
Build the network,
Yeah.
Yeah, always.
surround yourself
Yeah,
with a strong, positive network. You can't really go
yeah,
wrong.
yeah.
I love that.
So what else? What else did you find on my Twitter account?
That's
That's
always
the
a
one that,
scary deep dive to go on. I cannot
yeah.
believe you did that.
It can be. Yeah.
I know. I don't do that often, but you never know where you can find. So when I saw that,
Of
I'm like,
course, yeah,
yo, let me
yeah,
bring that up.
yeah,
But so you mentioned that you have a show in Miami, in 2 weeks. I'm assuming that's for
uh,
Miami Music Week.
yep,
Do you have any upcoming shows in the Philly tri-state area?
yeah. So I didn't really touch on it as much. I mean, whatever, I did, but we've slowed down the last few months when it comes to non-summer events after doing this for about 18 months because again, it boils down to it's difficult to find venues to work with where
Hmm.
you can turn a profit the whole nine. Something that we did see was fairly a good turn, not fairly good turn, a really good turnout was our summer events that was called Do Not Disturb. It's set on top of a rooftop at Hotel Monaco on Fifth and Chestnut, I want to say, literally right across the street from Independence Hall. It's
Stratus?
called Stratus. Yeah, Stratus Lounge.
It's a
Yeah,
great spot.
Yeah.
yeah, it's great. It's definitely fitting for the vibe that I'm always going for, which is this Miami, Brooklyn-esque atmosphere. So it's very fitting. We It was our first time doing it last summer. We only did two, unfortunately, because we decided to do it too late. And then the third was supposed to be in September at Stratus Lounge, but it it downpoured, so we ended up going to the Ave with Ranger Truco. But yeah, that's upcoming this summer. We have five events planned, once every month starting May 11th. Um, we're pretty much solidified on every month with artists. I'm really looking forward to it. I really hope the weather pans out for us because when it's 80 degrees and sunshine outside for 6 hours straight, it's one of the most immaculate vibes you'll get in the city. Good music, great people. But yeah, so that's what we have planned in the interim for Philly. Maybe as fall comes around, we have some other things up our sleeves. I'm trying to figure out, we're trying to figure out. And then, yeah, 2 weeks from now is May 28th. Well, from Friday will be May 28th, March 28th. Yeah, March 28th.
Close enough.
Yeah, March 28th. This actually came up like we got really lucky in the situation. Uh, Josh and I started kind of beating the idea of throwing a Miami Music Week event early January. And I was like, dude, like, yes, we know a handful of artists and all that stuff and managers now, but it's like it's Miami Music Week. Like, who do you like? We have to be realistic with who we're competing with
Mhm.
or against at least. He's like, yeah, I know, but like, whatever. He struck a conversation with Jesse Perez, who's one of the DJs we brought out in July. Great dude, born and raised in Miami. He has a huge discography and he has his own label called Mr. Nice Guys. So we start talking. Josh started talking to him like, I want to say end of January, maybe early February, and they got me on a call and he's like, hey, listen, Jesse wants to do this. We need a venue. He has a few venue ideas. Can you reach out? I'm like, yeah, by all means. Like, if this can pan out somehow, I'm all for it. So ended up spending like 2 weeks straight of hitting up every hotel, every venue possible. Obviously, when you're about a month out, a month and a half out, most venues are already taken. So randomly, we got lucky as hell because Jesse hit up his manager and he's like, "Hey, like, I want to do this event that he was kind of already planning himself." But then when we started talking to him early enough, thank God, he's like, "I have the event. It's going to be a label party, but I'm more than happy to partner with other people." Um, the party's called Mr. Nice. Sorry, Have a Nice Day by Mr. Nice Guy, and told his manager about this, and he's like, "But I'm telling you now, he's like, I'm not kicking Dresden guys out of this. Like, I was talking to them for a few weeks. Like, they're part of it, no matter where we end up." His manager's like, "Okay, all right, great." And when I tell you, I was like, it didn't really hit me at all when Jesse texted me and Josh, and he's like, "Hey, I think we're gonna do a party at Joy Beach." Josh had no clue what the fuck that was. I've heard about it a few times, and it's the only venue it's a restaurant venue on a beach out of the entire Miami, to my knowledge. When I heard it, I'm like, there's no way. I was like, this is like, I don't want to get excited because I'm gonna like somehow jinx myself. But I'm like, if this is true, like this is insane. So Jesse's like, no, I think it's gonna happen. Yada yada. Ended up panning out. We have a great deal with them. We were put in touch with someone who's like very similar in the Orlando area called Househeads. Ironically enough, they have literally the same looking logo as us, like font wise. Um, so yeah, March 28th, we have It's a collaboration between Dresden, House Heads, and Mr. Nice Guy, and we have some massive fucking names on this lineup. It's a 2 to 11 day party, right on the water. You can pull up on a boat if you wanted to, and we have names that I couldn't imagine ourselves getting for maybe the next 2 years. But yeah, it's very fun. And if you guys are in Miami for Miami Music Week, please come out. I'll take care of you guys.
Might have to book a flight now. I
You
might
might you
pull
might
up
need to,
on a
yeah.
yacht. I don't know.
You might need to, yeah.
Some incentive there. That's
Absolutely.
incredible. We love
I was
that.
gonna go. That's a part that sucks. I don't know.
You do. If you can figure out 24, 48 hours, you need to go
Yeah.
somehow.
What day is the party?
Friday, March 28th, 2 to 11.
So leave Thursday night.
Or fly in Friday morning, drink, drink a 6 pack of Red Bull,
Ooh,
and
big
stay
day.
up until like 8 in the morning the next day. I don't know. I don't know how I'm gonna do it because I know that once we end at 11, there's Solid Grooves at Space, and this other kid that has his own party at the sister property called Floyd. We actually brought this kid in May, Slug, and he has a party, and I'm like, all right, so we potentially are hitting up 2 parties. One starts at 11, probably goes to like 4, and the Solid Grooves event starts at 11, but like the people that you want to see aren't on until 8 a.m. I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna survive. Like I don't do drugs. I'm like, I don't
Yeah,
know how the fuck I'm gonna survive.
it's just insane.
The afters and then the after
Yeah,
afters, and
it's the exactly, yeah.
that's about it. Wow. I mean, it's an incredible testament to how much you've grown the brand. So I mean, a
100%, yeah.
huge congratulations to you for
Thank you,
being
thank you.
able to land that.
It won't thank you, but it won't hit me. I don't think ever, but hopefully it pans out to like really bring a lot more progress because I think we both love to do more events in South Beach in Florida because like it's funny that I said earlier the fact that the brand was born out of Miami.
Yeah.
If I can somehow figure out a way to really hone that concept in and kind of jump into that market, I would do it in a heartbeat. But thank you. We're
It's
really excited.
it's a full circle moment.
Yeah,
And I
it
mean,
is.
I
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think it might hit you when you're there. When you're watching it
Yeah,
all unfold in front of
yeah,
you
maybe.
in real
Yeah,
life, I think it'll probably hit you.
yeah. I hope so. Yeah.
But wow. Well, one final question we always love to ask everybody that we have on the
For sure.
show. We've kind of
Yeah.
touched on this a little bit as far as advice goes, but we like to ask kind of a two-parter. So, piece one is what's one piece of advice that maybe you got at some point in your life, in your career, personal life, whatever, that you think is really good advice that you'd give to somebody trying to be in your shoes that's listening right now? And on the flip side of that, what's something that was a piece of advice somebody gave you that you heard them, you listened to it, and you're like, no, I do not agree with that, and I wouldn't give that advice to anyone?
Okay. Second part, I'm gonna have to think about it a little bit. The
Second half
first
is
part,
always the tricky
Yeah,
part. It
right.
always
yeah.
trips people up.
Um. So the first part, uh, it's not really direct quotations, but or from it's a mesh of things I've heard from friends, family, and mentors, but also quotes. One being Steve Jobs, so I'll start with that, which is nothing around us is built by anyone smarter than you. And when you really let that like kind of settle, you're like, okay, well then yeah, it's true. Like we're all humans. We all have the same capabilities. It's just not executing. But what I've learned from people around me, again, not a direct quote, but it's just like you have to be relentless. Again, take my own advice. You have to be relentless. Relentless. You have to pound the fucking pavement because none of this is easy, no matter what. But typically, if you really push forward and you achieve whatever you have in your mind, you'll always be happy with the results because the goal isn't the happiness, it's what you're experiencing, the whole journey throughout the process. We can't be happy forever. Like we're humans. We need to feel emotions, but the joy of really progressing through life, building things that you want to build, and you'll only typically understand that looking backwards. Moving forward, you're always worried or nervous or yada yada and building, and even if you're scared shitless, like you still need to do it. But you hit a point where you're like, oh, it's been now 2 years. I didn't even realize it's been 2 years. Now looking back, you're like, you appreciate so much that you've done or how you've grown as a person. So be relentless. Uh, don't overthink because that'll ruin a lot of things. And if you have the slightest idea that you really think is good, go and execute it because 9 out of 10 times, you're probably right. The second part, piece of advice that I heard, processed, but was like, it's okay. Um, yeah, I mean,
That's good news that people are giving you sound advice.
no, yeah, they are typically. One thing that comes to mind is my dad, honestly, and it's like he's always he's always said like he's always said go build for yourself. Like don't rely on other people. Don't rely on other people's capital. And I'd always have a back and forth with him about it because like, yeah, I totally get it. Having a foundation for yourself, having your own capital to do whatever you want. And yes, I agree with it because at least 70% of the time, if you went and made yourself as much money as you could, then really in not in theory, you could if you became really financially stable, you could then go execute any ideas you have or want to execute at least or try. But on the flip though, and this is where I was kind of argued with him was if you have a really good idea, but you don't have your own capital to execute it, there's a reason why we live in a world where you might be dirt poor, but you might have an amazing idea. And if you have the ability and the strength to move forward and say, okay, I don't give a fuck how I'm going to find this money, but I'm going to find it. I have this really good idea. The world somehow brings those people to you. There's enough people in the world that want to keep making money, even if you're worth 30 billion. They want to throw money everywhere. So that's probably like the best scenario to answer your question because it's something that always we don't my dad and I would always bump heads on because I always understood his point, but I always had a bigger picture thought or thinking, which was if you have a good enough idea, you don't need your own money, you can go find it. So if you have the idea, go execute it because capital is just the fuel to execute the idea. If you need to find the gas, you can find it.
It's a great way of viewing that. I think
Yeah.
I think you're saying similar things, but you have a completely different perspective on it
Right.
and the
On how
view
to
of
attain it.
money. Yeah.
Right.
Wow. Very
Mhm.
interesting. Wow, we had a deep, long conversation. Thank you so
We did,
much
yeah.
for joining
No,
us
of
today,
course, yeah. Thank
Calvin.
you.
It was
I love these
wonderful.
conversations. I wish I had more of these with more people in the city. There's not many of them.
Well, we'll have to have you back to do a part two. You're gonna have to fill us in on the big dress
I'd love to, yeah.
event. If
I'd
we're
love to,
not
yeah.
there, if I'm not pulling up on a yacht, which I'm gonna try to work out,
Okay,
but if I can't work that out.
for sure, yeah, yeah. Listen, yeah, if Miami doesn't work out, I totally understand it, but you guys definitely need to come check out the summer events
Yeah.
starting May 11th.
We're there.
Come to those.
We are
Yeah,
absolutely there. Thank
yeah.
you so much
Of
again
course,
for the
of course, you
conversation.
got it.
And
You got
please
it.
tell the people that are listening at home where they can find you on social so they can keep up to date.
It's always going to be my first and last name. Clearly, if you found me on on Twitter so easily, but it's going to be first and last name for almost everything personal. And then for Dresden, it's Dresden Dresdon official on Instagram and TikTok.
Perfect. Well, we can't wait to see all of the future
Thank you.
successes that you guys are going to have.
Well, thank you. I hope so, and hopefully you guys can join me on a multitude of those adventures.
Absolutely. We'll count on it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Guys, thank you
Thank you,
very, very much. I
Calvin.
appreciate it.
Thank
Thank you.
you.